I was 17 years old. And how it started, the whole thing, it was terrible. But God gave me what I should live. Never one thing I tell you. I never thought I'm going to die. Some brothers, they rather they give up, I didn't. Somehow I felt that I am going to live. And I did. My name is Sosana Friedman. What should I say? I'm coming from Czechoslovakia.
What part of Czechoslovakia were you born in?
You will know, I'm coming from a small town. Nobody knows that place. But did you hear about Košice? No. This is the bigger city next to us that I'm coming. When we were younger, we didn't want to talk about it, My children are telling me that I never spoke about Holocaust. Just when my granddaughter was 18 years old, she went to Israel to the yeshiva, and they took them to Auschwitz. And when she came back, she didn't stop asking questions. Then I started to talk about it. Until then, we were happy to live, And I didn't have anybody, just my husband. I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And this was life. We lived 10 years in Israel after the war. But I had a sister here, and I came. But she's not alive anymore. We came back to us. We had 7 children. She was older for me 2 years. And that's all what but I had. It started when I was older, because my husband wasn't in Auschwitz. So he wanted to know things, what we went through, what we did, how it was. He was older 5, 6 years for me. But otherwise, for other people, I didn't talk. I wasn't a talker. There were a lot of people who were asking people to talk, go to school. I never did. It was very hard for me. I started to cry right away, and I didn't want to cry for anybody. It's not easy to talk about it. Didn't find anybody, no parents, no grandparents, no family, nobody. But thank God I was married to a nice young man. And we were together in the yard side tomorrow. 19 years already that he passed away. But we were together 60 years. 60 years. And I have another thing that I lost my daughter last year. She was 70 years old. That's terrible. I was asking God, why I deserve that? What can I do? I have to cry always when I think about her. She was a very good daughter. I don't know what happened to her. In a few days, she didn't feel good. And she went. She had 4 boys, all of them married. But before she died, she lost her 1 son, 2nd son. When the sickness came, then he didn't feel good. He was a 6 foot tall, beautiful man. He was a lawyer. And he said he doesn't feel good. They took him to the hospital, and he never came back. I think that took her away, She couldn't take it. He left 4 children, was married. So we went through a lot those years.
And what were their names? What was your grandson's name and your daughter's name?
My grandson's name was David Herman.
David.
Yeah, you see the shul, they give his name on the shul that time. They were building the shul when he got sick, and they put his name on it. He was a very, very fine boy. My daughter's name was Dorit. She was born in Israel. At that time, it was very much in stock, this name.
Mm-hmm. So
That's
it's
why I called her. Yeah. I really like it because it's very much important. It's important that these young kids, last week they came to the JCC, and a 13-year-old boy was sitting next to me. I tell you, if I can tell you he was asking me questions, a 13-year-old boy. He was so nice and talking to me, and before he left, none of them did yet. He came and he called me. He was so nice, I tell you. Very nice. And we made pictures together there, and I see that they are so interested, They are interested what it happened with us. So I like it. I like it that they teaching the children in the schools. And I tell you, I started my life hard before the war. I lost my mother very young. I was 3 years old. I never knew what is a mother. And that was terrible. Even today that I'm old and I think about it, And I always, as I was growing up, I always wanted to have a mother. Because my friends had mothers. But I grew up with my grandparents who were parents. And they were exceptional grandparents. I always say today, you don't have grandparents like that. My grandmother was 69 years old when they took her to Auschwitz and put her in the crematorium. She didn't live in there. I tell you, in Europe, when somebody got married, many times they stayed with their parents, My grandparents had also just 2 children, a son and a daughter. And when my mother got married with my father, they took him in. My grandmother started a business, but they had everything in that business. A store, like a department store, shoes and material. And she was not my grandfather, my grandmother. She was the businesswoman. And my father started to work with her and learned, and he was a very good businessman. And they were financially very well because the store was very good till they didn't take it away, They closed up the business before they took us away. But till then, we were children, so I didn't do nothing there. But I know that it was a very good. And my grandfather was helping because a lot of people, they took away the parnasa and they didn't have money. Not everybody had, they used it up. So my brother-in-law, who I just met when I got married to my husband, he was telling me that they were baking matzah, a matzah factory they had for Pesach. And he used to go to my town, and my grandfather used to pay for a lot of people the matzah for Pesach because they didn't have money to buy it. And it was such a good feeling to hear that, I didn't know that they didn't tell me. I had a very good father. He took care of us also. We had 3 children left over for my mother. She was 27 years old when she died. I had a sister who was older 2 years. I had a brother who was 8 months old when she passed away. So it was a hard life, hard to live and talk about it, but I can't say that I didn't have a good life because my grandparents were wonderful and my father was also a very good father. He took care of me, wanted us to, to be somebody in life. Because they took him already in 1942 because he was in Slovakia. And from Slovakia they took already in 1942 and we went in 1944. I stayed with my grandparents. So I lived 2 more years at home, and nobody came back. My father was 43 years old at that time. Nobody came back.
Do you remember experiencing anti-Semitism when you were growing up?
No. I was talking about that this week. The town where we lived, the people were very nice. We didn't have yeshivas there. I went to public school. I tell you, when it started to be very bad, they took us they made a ghetto, After Pesach, no, it's going. We just finished Pesach and they took us to the ghetto. It was very hard, very hard. Very hard. We went to a city, it was called Újhely. It's a Hungarian city. And there was a place where the ghetto was, where Jewish people lived, and everybody had to take in people to their homes, And somebody came from Budapest, whose mother was there, to take her to Budapest, because they felt that in the bigger city, maybe you can somehow manage better. And he wanted to take me with him. And my grandmother didn't let me go. He said, a 17-year-old doesn't go somewhere where you don't know, you don't have anybody, family. She didn't know where we're going from the ghetto. If she would have known, she would have let me go, And it was very scary, very, very hard. But we didn't know where we're going. When we left from the ghetto, we thought we're going somewhere to work and we will be together. We didn't know where they taking us. They didn't tell us where we're going, And when we arrived to Auschwitz, I had a terrible, terrible experience because they took us in somewhere and you had to take off your clothes. You were 17 years old and men were in there. Never knew what is another yet, And they cut off all our beautiful curly blonde hair. They cut it off completely. And they took all clothes and give us their clothes. So they didn't measure that I need. Some girl had long dresses, some girl had short dresses. And we came out, we didn't recognize each other. It was very hard. We lived through. I don't know how we really. Sometimes I'm thinking about it. Then they took me from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen. It was even worse. But somehow I lived. God wanted me to. I worked, forest. That's why I suffered so much. They were cutting out trees and we had to carry it on the shoulder. And it was winter, there wasn't snowing, this was Germany, I think, this part. And it was raining the whole day. And we went home with the wet clothes. And I went to sleep in it that it should dry out for the morning that I should have to go again with them. That was the life there, you know. One day I met my cousin, and one day we couldn't go out working. We were so sick we couldn't. So there was a place where a doctor was, so they took us there. It was a Jewish woman, and she said to us, "Girls, go back and go back to work because whoever comes here goes out on a stretcher, doesn't stay alive." And she saved our life, I'm telling you. She didn't want us to stay there. She said, I know it's hard. I know it's hard the work, but you have to go. You have to go because here, I don't want you to come here. She didn't want to take us in, and we were so angry, you know. We didn't understand what she's doing, but she really saved us our life.
How did you go from Auschwitz to
Bergen-Belsen.
yeah,
They took us on a train.
on a train?
They closed up Auschwitz that time already. Everybody went somewhere else, you know. They separated me from my little sister. Yes, they called, I'm sure you heard, Selfhelp. Every day we had to stand in line and they were counting us. If one day they said somebody is missing, they put us on our knee. We had to go on our knee. We found, and did you hear about Mengele? So he came always to visit us, always looking for somebody. And I was always standing with my sister together, you know. And one day he came, he said, he wanted us to go separately. So this was also a very terrible experience because I didn't know my sister didn't know where I am, and I didn't know where she is just when we came back after the war, that she's alive, that I am alive. We didn't know about each other. But she was lucky, she was in better place than I was. They came from Germany who had factories, you know, and they could bring their workers and they didn't have to pay them. So my sister was together with cousins and she went with them to Germany, to this factory. And she had better than I did in Bergen-Belsen. Because they were workers, you know, and these people tried to give them more food, and it was much better for them than for us. So we came back, both of us. Both of us. My cousin, but she wasn't just cousin. We grew up together, we were friends, you know, so I met her, I was alone. Somehow I was so lucky that they always separated me from everybody else together. And to the end, they were bringing from all over people there to Bergen-Belsen. They were walking for days and weeks, and I started to stand outside on the street and looking, maybe somebody will come who I know, you know. And all of a sudden I saw two cousins together. And I didn't ask anybody if I can go with them or not. When they didn't know from where I am coming. And that's how we made it together. That's how we made it together, yeah.
Do you remember the day that you were liberated from Bergen-Belsen?
I remember. You know, when to go to work every morning, there was a gate. We had to go to that gate and waiting till they opened the gate that we should go in to work, you know. And one morning, we standing and standing and standing hours, and the gate is not opening. And then I don't know how many hours we were standing there. Nobody came to tell us that the war is over.
Mm.
And we were standing there, and somebody came like in the afternoon that everybody is going back to the place where you're sleeping, and the war is over. That's how we knew that the war is. Nobody told us that. We didn't know. The people that we worked in the forest, they were nice people, They were workers, not soldiers. And they used to tell us that we should keep up, because the war is soon will be over. And we didn't believe him, Yeah. A lot of girls died because the American came in there and they were bringing food.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, the last weeks, we really didn't get food, just coffee, black coffee to drink, and nothing really. And they were so hungry, they went to eat, and they died from it. I don't know from where we had the Selfhelp with my cousin. We said we eating just cereal. He said we going to eat just cereal.
Smart.
And we were lucky. We were lucky, not just us, other girls did it also. Because it was very dangerous, your stomach was empty. After the war, there was a city. I didn't stay in my town because I came home and nobody was there. So they told me that there is a city, Kralowski Kromets. Maybe that you heard. No?
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah. It's a bigger place. And all the people around that, the young people, everybody went there to live in that city. And that's what I did. And I was very lucky because my father had a first cousin who came back with her husband. Both of them came back. They lost 3 children there. They didn't come back. And she took in about 6, 7 girls who didn't have family. They wanted to help them. And that's what I did. I was with them. And there I met my husband. So I had a home with somebody, And that was a very big thing. Wasn't alone, so much alone. And they were older, much older, in the 40s. They had children already like me. My sister was there, and she met a boy, and I met a boy to get married. So we kept together. I was just a little bit angry at my sister because she got married right away. And my brother-in-law was a big Zionist. He just wanted to go to Israel. And I made her wedding, because they didn't have places like today you're making a wedding. We worked for each other, preparing and everything. And after the wedding, they picked themselves up and they left me there. I was engaged to my husband. And I had nobody. So this was very hard. I tell you, he made it. He saved his own life. He wasn't in concentration camp, but they took the boys who were older already to work. And they said in the army, but it wasn't the army, So when it was already to the end, they wanted to bring them to a concentration camp. So they started to walk and walk and walk. He said for days they were walking. And one place they stopped by it was a how you call that, my place, and he decided that he's not going with them. He told me the story, He said, I decided, even they kill me, I am not going with them. I had enough. He was older than me, 5, 6 years, so he was over 20 already, And he was hiding in a how you call it in English? Would you believe this? I am sometimes. So he was hiding in hay, like, and he knew that they looking for him. And he said, I'm sure other boys did it also, not just him, But he didn't talk to anybody. He was just hiding there. And he says 3 days he was there not eating and not drinking and waiting what will happen. And after 3 days he came out. He said they are not there anymore. Nobody was there. And he stayed there about a few days. The people give him food because the men were in war. It was war that time in Europe. And they needed help. So he was helping a little bit for them there. And then he decided, I'm going home. And he went back home. And in a few weeks, the war ended. But I got married there in Ireland. And he went in business with his family. His brother came back and an uncle came back. And they started a business. We were there for 3 years when I got married. My son was born there. And then we decided we're going to Israel. And we went. 10 years we lived in Israel. It was very hard in Israel also. This was the first years when it started the country, after everything. It wasn't easy. And Moshav is how you call it in English? They have cows and chicken and
A farm?
a farm. Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't want to stay there. We were there for a while, but they went away because they just put us there we didn't have no electricity, water in the house, everything outside. So it was hard. So they were building houses for these people to move from there. And I didn't want to go with them. I didn't want to go with them. I said to my husband, this is not for me. And he understood. He was working in a supermarket. He was the manager there. So it was a good job. And we went closer to Tel Aviv to live. And then my sister was always writing to me, I should come. It's much easier here. I had already 2 children. My daughter was born in Israel. So we came. I came to United States. I didn't speak a word English. I didn't understand anything. And I went to work. And nobody gave us nothing. Both of us were working. And thank God we made a living and the kids grew. My son is a lawyer. He went to school and it was nice. Till we were young and together. We had cousins, we had first cousins in Israel who came back. We were so close, like sisters and brothers, because they didn't have parents and we didn't have parents. So even when I came to United States, we always wrote to each other. At that time wasn't so much the telephone, so we were writing to each other. And now I'm always so down because nobody's alive anymore. They got older, the testament. I am here alone. No, I'm telling you from the family. I am here also in the United States. I had first come. We were very, very close to each other. Nobody's here anymore. It's this age it's I don't know why Hashem wants me to hear. That's why I was telling him, why didn't he take me and not my daughter? She was young, she wanted to live. She loved life, she was such a happy person. I think so. When my daughter was born, I was always telling her when she was older that this was my happiest day in my life when you were born. A girl, I wanted a girl so badly. So she was so happy to hear from me that I was so happy to have her. This 13-year-old boy was asking me this question. I told him, you should listen to your parents. You will always be happy in your life. And he liked it so much. But I told him, he told the lady who is working there, that, you know what she told me? I should listen to my parents. It's very important. It's very important for the children to appreciate the parents and listen to them.